Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer. Today we're going to take a look at the Hollywood Racks Crosstrack bike carrier on our 2024 Toyota 4Runner. Now if you've had any experience with this bike carrier or if you have questions about it, please leave those in the comments below. We love to use those questions and those stories in order to help our neighbors make the best decision for themselves. Now over the course of this video we are going to go over some of the features of the Hollywood Racks Crosstrack, but more importantly, we're going to kind of specifically concentrate on how it fits our Toyota 4Runner. So a little bit about the Crosstrack. It is a two-bike platform rack, wheel mounted, that has the capability of carrying up to 66 pounds per bike. Now the bike carrier itself is 66 pounds, so if we max it out, that's about 200 pounds of tongue weight on your hitch. So just always double check your specs and make sure that your hitch has the tongue capacity for that. Now with that in mind, it does sit a little bit higher up on the vehicle, and visually speaking, it is going to, block a little bit or limit visibility on our taillights, our rear view camera, and our license plate. So with that in mind, it's always a good idea to double check just how far out this comes from our 4Runner and see how much bigger of a footprint it's going to give us. Now we're going to go ahead and take a measurement from the bumper to the end of our bike carrier just to see how much clearance we're going to have in those tighter situations. So when it's deployed, the Crosstrack is going to add an extra 40 inches off of the back of your bumper. So just bear that in mind when you're backing into spaces or parking in some of those tighter spaces, because you will have very limited use of that rear view camera again. It's also a good idea to know how much ground clearance you have and make sure you're not going to bottom out. Now the 4Runner does have a hitch that is a bit higher off the ground due to just how lifted this particular vehicle is. And as you can see, it lifts even more coming off the shank. This is going to give us 24 inches of ground clearance, so I'm really not worried about bottoming out anywhere. Between the distance from the bumper and that distance to the ground, you're really not in any real danger that I could see of this bottoming out. Now the shank itself is going to end up coming up to about 16.25 inches off the ground right here. Still plenty of clearance for you, and again, not really worried about your bike rack being in any kind of danger. I do want to mention that we do have a tilt-away feature on this platform in order to get into our lift gate. It operates through the handle here. You just need to lift up a little gently, pull it back, and bring it down. Just bear in mind that if this is completely loaded, the majority of the bike rack's weight is of course on the platform, and if we have it loaded to its max, we are looking at 180 to 200 pounds worth of weight you're bringing down. So if you have two bikes on here and they're both 60-70 pound bike or 66 pound bikes max, you might want to bring whoever you're with back here with you just to make sure you could lower this safely. With one bike on it, it was really no issue. But as you can see, we tilted out and we've got plenty of space back here now to get into our lift gate without really running into any interference. Now, it did come pretty close to the end of this handlebar, so depending on the bike that you have, you may come across, if you have wider handlebars, you get a little bit of interference from it. But generally speaking, you should have no problem accessing your lift gate while your bike rack is loaded. Now, after realizing that we've got 20 plus inches of ground clearance back here, you may be thinking to yourself, man, I've got a 65 pound e-bike. I really don't want to be lifting it up and down that high up, so maybe this isn't the rack for me. Well, Hollywood actually has one of the better ramps in the industry when it comes to this situation. It doesn't come with the Crosstrack, so it is something you'd purchase separately, but if you are somebody carrying around those heavy e-bikes, I would say it's a bit of a must-have. So let's go ahead and unload our bike, and I'll show you exactly how that works. The first thing we'll need to do is basically unattach our wheel, and that's going to work with this kind of a ratcheted sliding system here that is holding this in place. So we'll just simply need to push that down, We're going to slide it all the way over, and it will deploy underneath to make room for our ramp. I'll take our ramp, we'll go ahead and loosen it up here, and it's going to attach right through these loops so it won't move around on you anywhere. And the great thing about Hollywood's ramp is that rather than being two pieces that come together like a lot of ramps out there are, this is adjustable by length. So if you're in a tighter spot, you can deploy the ramp. It is going to make more of a sharp incline, but you can still deploy the ramp in a tighter space, or if you have more room, you can extend it out, have a more gradual incline, make it even easier getting your bike up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and detach our front wheel. And we'll just roll it on down. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this particular bike carrier weighs about 66 pounds on its own, so it's probably not something you're going to want to remove and put back on very often. So for those times when you're not taking your bikes with you, it also offers a stowaway feature that'll allow you to put it all the way up against the vehicle. Now, when it's like this, in this position, it is still going to block your license plate, your rear view, and partially obstruct your tail lights. So again, we want to take a few measurements just to see what kind of clearance we have behind us when it's in its stowaway position. So while it's in its stowed away position, it's actually going to be less than 15 inches away from your bumper. So again, just bear in mind, because you're having your rear view camera blocked, we want to make sure that we're aware that we're going to need that extra space behind us so we don't damage our bike carrier when we're backing in anywhere. And while we're down here, you may be wondering about security as well. It does come with its own threaded hitch pin. That's going to help a bit with the anti-rattle. And it is going to have a lock to it. Now, this is going to secure your bike rack to the vehicle. The Crosstrack also comes with a 8-foot cable lock to secure the bikes to the rack itself. They can also be keyed alike together, so that way you don't have multiple sets of keys every time you take out your bike rack. There's just one more feature I want to make mention of while we're here. There is a bit of a fold away or a partial fold away on the bike rack for when you're not carrying your bikes, but we would still want access to the lift gate. So there is a middle position between the stowaway and deployed that we could put it to right here. This is going to allow us into our tailgate when we're not loaded up with bikes. Again, a very, very convenient feature of the Hollywood Racks Crosstrack. I really hope this video was helpful as far as you deciding on your bike rack. I'm Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.